What is up everyone, and welcome to a first look at Formula 1 24, the new game in the Formula 1 series. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, definitely go and check that out. I'll probably put a link to it in the description. Can't show it in this video due to the fact that they use a Green Day song in the trailer, which was pretty hype for me as a fan of the band. But yeah, it means that I obviously can't show it due to fears of things like DMCA and things like that. So I'm just going to be having a look at the press release here, and we will go through it and analyze it, give our thoughts and opinions on it, that kind of thing. I actually just spent a few minutes recording to realize that my microphone was muted, so that was nice. So hopefully it's actually working this time, otherwise this is going to be a very long day for me. So yeah, V1 of the 20. F1 24 delivers all new dynamic handling, overhauled career, and more. Today, EA unveiled the full feature set for F1 24, an official game of the Formula 1 World Championship, launching earlier than previous seasons on May 31st across a range of consoles and PC platforms and stuff. Players will feel closer to the action with precision control, courtesy of the new EA Sports dynamic handling. For the first time, fan-favourite career mode allows players to compete as one of the 20 drivers from the 2024 F1 season and define their legacy, with even more ways to connect across Formula 1 and F2. Watch the F1 24 reveal trailer here. Yep, so like I said, if you haven't seen the trailer, definitely go and have a look, or don't, you know, maybe just reading is enough for you, I don't know. But yeah, I already immediately have a few thoughts on this. To begin with, they say this thing about, for the first time, career mode allows you to play as one of the 20 drivers from the grid. I guess that is true of the 2024 F1 grid. But there was a mode a few years ago that they had in the game for a number of years, up until I think it was either 2020 or 2021, called Championship mode, where you could pick a driver to play as. You could simulate a full F1 season that way. I obviously actually did that. That was the first F1 related series that I ever did on this channel. Was I did Championship mode with Sergio Perez back in that Racing Point on F1 2020. I'm sure a few of you have probably seen some of those videos. Maybe if you haven't, it's not the end of the world. I don't think that those are the best videos I've ever made. You know, I was like 18, 19 at the time, and I was still kind of figuring out what I wanted to do with this channel. So yeah, it was not the best content I've ever made. But yeah, there have been opportunities to play as drivers in sort of a season simulation before, and I guess the only difference here now is that you get the rest of the career mode theatre, all of the you know, R&D and corporate stuff and things like that. So yeah, I don't know if this is as radical as they're making it out to be, but you know, maybe it will end up being deeper than we think it will be. And I mean, this kind of stuff here, this stuff about even more ways to connect, I really dislike when they do releases like this and there's sort of vague language, because it just reminds me of in years gone by with career mode, when they've said things like, oh yes, we've added various like tweaks and balance performances and things like that to career mode, which basically means we've done nothing you're actually going to notice. When they put stuff like even more ways to connect, it's like, okay, what are the ways? Tell me what the ways to connect across Formula 1 and F2 are. I don't like the vagueness of it, but granted, this is only the opening paragraph, so maybe there will be more things here. Let's have a look. Let's keep going. So, working closely with current World Champion and Champions Edition cover star Max Verstappen, the new EA Sports dynamic handling redefines the feel of the car to produce a realistic and predictable performance across wheel and pad. All new suspension kinematics, upgraded tyre model, advanced aerodynamic simulation, and new engine and car setup options enhance the driving experience. Cornering, rolling resistance, brake pressure, ambient track temperature, and variable conditions enable drivers to receive immediate feedback to maximize their on-track performance. Okay, I have something that I think I want to say regarding this as well. All of this stuff, this bit, totally meaningless to 90% of people that are going to play the game. No one knows what this word means. Realistically, is anyone going to actually notice, like, oh, the aero feels drastically different in this year's game? So certainly there will be some people. Okay, I'm not saying it's no one, but I'm saying 90% of people, casual players, people who don't, you know, have a degree in aerospace engineering or whatever, they're not feasibly going to actually recognize that this is what's going on. They're just going to recognize the car feels different. That's what they're going to think. And I really feel like it's like every year at the moment we seem to be going through a revolution like this. It's like the all new dynamic handling system, or like, what was it last year? It was like EA Sports Precision Drive or something like that. And it's like, you do this every year, it stops being like novel and interesting. It's like, wow, they've overhauled the driving system again. It just means nobody can actually get used to playing the game the way that it felt the year before. If you change it every year, it just feels like an all new game every year almost. It feels like you're playing a different racing game. And I mean, look, this kind of thing is not exclusive to the Formula One series. I think Gran Turismo 7 actually did a mid-game update last year where they completely overhauled the driving system, and it was drastically different as well. So, but yeah, I just think that this is just a load of rubbish personally about EA Sports dynamic handling, because they do something like this every year. Every year they're like, we've redefined the way the car feels. It's a totally different experience. It's like a whole new game, and I just think it's kind of rubbish personally. I hate to be cynical, because I do obviously want to enjoy this game and look forward to playing it and hope that there's a bunch of, new experiences and new features, but I don't think that drastically changing the way that the car drives, if this is actually what it does, is going to make that much of a difference. I think they have this problem where they want to appeal simultaneously to both sim drivers and casual fans at the same time, and it's like you can't have both, because it just doesn't work like that. If a game feels simmy, you are going to alienate the more sort of casual players. But if a game feels more sort of, easy, sort of arcadey feeling, then you're going to alienate people like Max Verstappen, who famously has been a bit of a critic of the Formula One games in the past and said that they don't feel very, realistic or fun to play. He goes and he plays as iRacing and whatnot, because that's the game that he thinks, is probably the better way of doing it. So I think they need to decide, do they want to make a simulation racing game, or do they want to make an arcade racing game? Because I just don't think that they can actually do both. I don't think there's ever going to be a sweet spot where it appeals perfectly to both subsets of people. I think if you end up in a spot where it's like you're trying to please both sides, you kind of end up alienating both of them in a way, because the more casual people are going to be like, oh well, I'd rather just go and play I don't know, another game that feel like Forza or something like that feels a bit more, I suppose, sort of simple, and there's not so many sort of settings I've got to worry about and things like that. But then you also alienate the sim racers by being like, well, this game feels a bit too sort of arcadey, and the handling doesn't feel quite right, and there's not enough sort of customization with the physics and things like that. I think I just think it kind of pushes both groups of people away. So let's have a look at the rest of it. Enhancements on and around the circuits add to the race week experience, including Silverstone, which has received a significant update to deliver authentic circuit accuracy. Updates to Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, Lusail International Circuit, and Jeddah Corniche Circuit ensure that in-game tracks match their real-world counterparts. Cool, that's good. That's something that lots of people have asked for in the past, is making sure that the tracks are realistic. If this is about sort of changing certain corners to make them more like real life and things like that, I think I'm very happy with that, because at the end of the day, we want the most authentic Formula One experience we can get. That's why we play these games. Actual driver audio samples taken from F1 broadcasts add a new dimension as they react to on-track incidents. A new broadcast presentation package and cutscenes add to the race day immersion. Okay, mixed feelings on this. Obviously, they've done the driver radio samples or whatever because of F1 Manager, which already does that. So obviously, they're just trying to sort of catch up to that. It'll be interesting to see how those are implemented, though, because if it's like a driver crashes while you're sort of mid-race, and then you just hear that like Charles Leclerc screaming no at the French Grand Prix or whatever it was, that's going to maybe throw me off a little bit when I'm trying to drive. But you never know. Maybe it'll be all right. A new broadcast presentation package and cutscenes. Now, look, I don't think anyone asked for more cutscenes. You think about that. You think about that introductory thing they do at the start of every career mode, where it's like, oh, we're here at this, in my team, for example, we're here at Jaguar Racing to talk about the vision that they've had or whatever, and they do a bunch of meaningless interview questions with you that don't really affect much at the end of the day. I don't think anyone's asking for more of that. If they've overhauled some cutscenes and kind of made them better, then perhaps. But I think more cutscenes is not really what people were asking for. Let's see. So Lee Mathers said something here. The new handling model, powered by EA Sports Dynamic Handling, will enable players to get maximum performance from their car with authentic physics, giving them the confidence in racing wheel-to-wheel with their rivals. Our biggest career innovation since 2016 delivers more of what our players want with greater variety away from the track. Alongside new handling and career innovations, updated circuits, new audio, and a refreshed broadcast presentation give players the feeling of being closer to the grid. Now, look, I've worked in business and things like that before, enough to know that basically, if you took this entire paragraph out of this press release, it would be the exact same. This adds absolutely nothing, so I'm not even going to talk about it. As part of the revamped career mode, players can also choose from an up-and-coming competitor from Formula 2, a legendary icon, or create their own legacy. Further innovations to fully immerse drivers into the exhilarating of Formula 1 include, we'll go through those in a minute. I like the idea of this, Maybe I can do a Dennis Hauger career mode. Maybe I can actually play as him now. That'd be pretty exciting, Create their own legacy, so you still have the option to make your own driver. You can pick, they already said you can pick one of the 20 drivers from the actual F1 grid, so we could pick anyone from Verstappen to, someone maybe in a lower performing team, someone like Joe or Sargent or someone like that, I suppose. Legendary icons, so I assume they've still got this icons thing in there with, the usual suspects like Senna and Raikkonen and people like that. Okay, so further innovations. Let's see. Gain recognition. Build reputation within the paddock through on-track objectives. Race day tasks keep players focused on the checkered flag. Completing contract targets can help secure a new deal or pave the way for secret meetings to negotiate a move to a bitter rival. So basically, they've brought back the old system that they had in years gone by, where it was like you've got race day objectives, finish P12 or whatever in the race, and P14 in qualifying. Contract targets can help secure a new deal or pave the way for secret meetings to negotiate a move to a bitter rival. So I guess it's like if you reach a certain number of top 5 finishes or something like that, maybe Ferrari are going to look at that and go, oh wow, we're interested in signing you, and you can have a secret meeting with them to try and join the team. I don't know how this is going to be implemented. I will remain cautiously optimistic about this. It does sound fun. It does sound like it will create the opportunity for lots of drama and storylines in a career mode. R&D upgrades. Driver reputation also affects the support players get from their team. The greater the rep, the more motivated the team. Players can go all in on one innovation or spread the resources for more balanced development. Okay, well, that just kind of sounds like the same R&D system we've already got, plus your reputation now affects department morale, perhaps. It doesn't seem like that's too big of an overhaul, but maybe it's deeper than it sounds. Earn accolades. In addition to short-term achievements, every driver has long-term goals based on season expectations. These could range from number of top 10 finishes, pole positions, to claiming the world championship. Okay, well that's kind of cool if it's like tailored depending on the driver, but if it's just a bunch of generic stuff, I think they could have maybe put a bit more into that. But look, when we do our career modes already, we go into each season with a certain expectation of what we want to do. If the game is now implementing that, I think it kind of makes the career mode a bit more prescriptive, but maybe, in those seasons where I've kind of gone into it like, oh, I'm not really sure like what new we can do, after I've already won the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship, what more is there for us to do? Maybe the game would be good at implementing a sort of target for us to go for, or something like that. I don't know, we'll see. Race with a friend. Join forces or race as rivals in two-player career. With individual driver objectives, players must stay focused to become the team's #1 driver. That's already a feature in the current game, two-player career mode. Maybe I should do that in next year's game, who knows. Challenge career. A perfect introduction before committing to a 24-race season. Jump into the shoes of a pre-selected F1 driver and compete in a series of mini-seasons. Community voting will influence the conditions and circuits for future events. Okay, that actually sounds kind of cool. You know, I like the idea of doing that, you know, doing a little series of mini events and kind of getting a feel for how it feel to drive in certain cars and racing with certain drivers, creating like short storylines. It could be something nice to do between seasons of career mode if I'm not really in the mood to go straight back into career mode or something like that. You know, I think that could be quite fun. Returning for a second season is F1 World. Okay, yeah, here's a thing that I don't really probably have too much to talk about, but we'll have a look at it. The home of multiplayer Grand Prix, time trial, and the new fan zone feature. Ooh, wow, a new F1 World feature. What is this going to be? New fan zone feature. I don't know, like, is it going to be like there's like a leaderboard that you go up depending on how many fans you get based on your performance in F1 World races or something like that? They're really desperate for F1 World to work, aren't they? Look, I think it was a game mode with massive potential. I just think the way it was implemented was really poor, because for people like me, and look, I raced on 95 to 100 AI in my career mode. I am by far not the fastest driver that's ever played this game, but the problem with that the F1 World feature last year was that all the races were far too easy. They're far too easy. Even if you went on the maximum like tech level increase for the AI or whatever, you still could get in. You could go from P20 to P1 in about 3-4 laps. I think it was very rare that I wouldn't finish P1 when I tried to do those races. And I know that they overhauled it, but even then, even when they overhauled it, it was still just too easy. I watched a whole stream that Alex Gillen did on this where he was testing to see if it was any different, and he said it's a bit harder, but it's still not fun. And still the biggest problem with it is that it was kind of meant to be this, oh, you know, you're racing against people online or whatever, but nobody played it, so you were just racing against AI the entire time. What they need a player base for this, and it doesn't happen overnight, and you can only do it by making it interesting for the people who are actually playing it in the first place. I think it was a massive flop last year, which was a shame, because I would have liked to have maybe made some content on it or something like that, but I very quickly sussed out no content I create on this mode is going to be interesting. So let's see. Players align with their favourite team and driver over the course of a podium pass season and join a game-wide, time-limited league that includes collaborative goals while competing against rival teams. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. I like the sound of that, aligning with your favourite team and driver. So say, I guess you sort of take a team in Formula 1 and you can pick your favourite driver from that team, and then you become their like teammate and you work over the course of a season or something like that, or maybe you drive as that driver, I don't know. So for example, I would probably end up picking Haas because I'm a big fan of Haas F1. For those of you who don't know, that's comfortably my favorite team on the grid. And maybe, you know, I could pick Hulkenberg and I'd be racing alongside Hulkenberg or as Hulkenberg, something like that. That would be cool. Let's see. Separately, my team returns with the inclusion of 2 new icons: legendary former world champion James Hunt and Colombia's most successful F1 driver Juan Pablo Montoya, which are exclusive to Champion Edition players. Okay, well, I don't know how much my team career I'll end up doing if the driver career has been overhauled. I probably will end up playing driver career like most people. Ultimately, we want to have a look at the new modes, so I think that's got to be the thing that we do. But I mean, I like the inclusion of some new drivers. I love James Hunt. You know, he's awesome, especially when he was a commentator. I love those clips of him riffing on Jean-Patrick Jarrier and drivers like that. And then Juan Pablo Montoya. I mean, he was the guy for me when I was growing up. I used to see him drive, and I was like, man, this guy is awesome. When I was like 3-4 years old, I just thought he was amazing. I've even got a teddy bear from when I was a kid named after him. So that's how you know I'm a big JPM fan. So yeah, it'd be awesome to see him in, and who knows, maybe I'll even actually do a my team career with icons. We can get Juan Pablo Montoya as our teammate. And then we just have a few sort of bonus things. Drivers pre-ordering the Champions Edition before May 1st. I don't like this, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't like if you pre-order before a certain date, you get exclusives. Yeah, a new season F1 team liveries for use in time trial in F1 23. Receive the icons, 18,000 Bitcoin, F1 World Bumper Pack, 3 days early access. I mean, that's literally the only reason anyone pre-orders this, right? It's just for the early access. So, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. One bonus VIP podium pass. Okay, cool. Players pre-ordering the standard edition featuring cover stars Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris will receive 5,000 Bitcoin and an F1 World starter pack. Okay, well, yeah, good for those people, I guess. I've actually already have pre-ordered the Champions Edition just because, you know, getting ahead on that content grind is really important. Yeah, I mean, I understand that they're doing more things coming soon. There's going to be a gameplay reveal, and there's going to be like sort of a look at sort of a deep dive into the game and stuff like that. So yeah, that would be interesting to see. Hopefully it reveals a bit more. I've already watched a few videos that other people have done on this, and they've seemed to be suggesting that there are more changes to career mode, so it'll be interesting to see what those end up being, if there's actually sort of more than that. Because at the moment, my biggest issue with this is it just feels too vague, you know? It just feels like it doesn't really have much that I'm looking at and going, okay, this definitely feels like something that we've not had before, because a lot of this stuff is just things that have been taken away from us in the past and then added back. You know, these targets and things like that, they were a thing in previous years gone by. I remember them even in games that were, you know, universally kind of disliked, like F1 2014. They still had targets and things like that, and they had that kind of weird mode where you could drive in a short career and you could you know, try and basically poach seats off of drivers by beating them over the course of a few races, and you had like one season to try and win the championship from the worst team or something like that. That was actually quite a fun concept when I tried it. But yeah, other than that, it just all feels a bit too vague for me at the moment. I don't know. I'd be interested to see how it ends up panning out. Obviously, I'll still be playing it. There's no doubt about that. I'm very much intending to continue to do an F1 24, probably driver career mode, I guess. Most likely with Haas, like I said, because they're my favorite team, but maybe we'll look at doing a different team or something like that. It'll be exciting to have a look at some of this other stuff, like picking a competitor from Formula 2 and things like that. You know, maybe, like I said, we could do a career mode as one of those guys instead, or maybe we'll just create our own driver again. It really remains to be seen. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I was hoping for a bit more. This is the first update to career mode. I mean, even Lee Mather said it. Our biggest career innovation since 2016. Not sure how true that is, because we did introduce my team in 2020. So, unless he's just talking about driver career specifically, I don't know. I don't know if it really is the biggest innovation we've ever had. But for now, I'm choosing to remain cautiously optimistic, because there's no new tracks to add to this year's game, so they can't use that as an excuse for why they've not updated career mode. They can't add in F1 World because it's already there, so all they can do is minor changes to that. So I will be really interested to see how this career mode overhaul actually works out, because at the moment I'm not seeing quite enough to make me think this is going to be like a new golden era for the Formula 1 games or anything like that. But as always, you know, I will be playing it. I will be cautiously optimistic, and we will just, you know, we will see. We will be playing it regardless. So realistically, none of this actually matters. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. What are you thinking about this release? Are you excited? Are you kind of a bit disappointed, thinking it's maybe a bit too vague as well? Yeah, let me know your thoughts, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.